warm and enthusiastic welcome to all of those gathered here in the sanctuary today, as well as those, I don't know if the live stream is working, but if you're with us, welcome as well. If not, we feel you in spirit. My name is Mary Beth Redmond. I use she, her pronouns. And I'm honored to celebrate the first service of 2026 with all of you this morning. Yeah, we made it, right? Let us take a deep breath together to arrive more fully in mind, heart, and body. We gather at the threshold of a new year. We arrive just as we are, perhaps weary, unsettled, alarmed, maybe searching for hope, seeking peace, and yet most importantly, still called to come together and serve together. In the midst of unraveling systems, democratic values compromised, and growing uncertainty in our world, we take this hour to attune our hearts to a deeper current, to a current of mystical hope, to the presence of love planted within each one of us, surrounding us, infusing everything. A love that holds us in this aching world beyond any outcome we can see. Divine love, spirit of mercy, breath of compassion at the heart of all religious and spiritual traditions, draw us now into a stillness that is not escape, but deeply rooted in presence and connection. As we breathe together, sing together, honor silence, move in unison, listen deeply, or simply pay attention, let us experience the great safety net of love and solidarity that connects all beings. Let us remember that we belong to each other. And let us be strengthened in this hour to continue weaving and reweaving the mesh of love that holds all and lets nothing fall from its care. And so it is. Amen. Friends, it is now time to light the chalice. We have words to say together. We can say them in English or Spanish. We kindle this flame to remind ourselves of the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment.
Good morning. Just a quick note, because of issues with the website, we've been unable to upload the order of service, so the QR code and the hymnal, I believe, will not take you to today's OOS. So welcome to each and all of you here in the sanctuary, and to those of you who are joining us online, to Sunday worship at the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Burlington. I'm Warren Baker, a member of the Worship Associate Team. My pronouns are he and him. We are glad you are here to join us in the shared work of building community and making meaning in our lives. Among the values that guide this community are love, compassion, equality, service, and justice. We are pleased to welcome Reverend Mary Beth Redmond as today's guest minister. She is an ordained interfaith, interspiritual minister and certified spiritual director who currently serves as the director of community experience for Closer Than Breath, an online contemplative community. For many years, she has been a practitioner of centering prayer, Lecito Divina, yoga, and the Christian contemplative path. A longtime journalist who has advocated for Vermont's most vulnerable communities, Mary Beth recently served in the Vermont State Legislature. Welcome, Reverend Mary Beth. If you are here for the first or second time, would you mind raising your hands so we may give you a special welcome? Welcome. Yes, welcome. If you didn't get the chance to speak to today's welcome ambassadors when you arrived, you can check in with them after the service during coffee hour at 11:10-ish in the community room downstairs. Through this door, follow the crowd down the stairs, or you can take an elevator just to the right. Look for the welcome sign, head over and say hello. We encourage other UU members to go over and introduce yourselves to help our newcomers feel even more welcome. And we have welcome ambassadors. Susan Ogden and Betsy Thayer, would you please stand? There they are. This religious society acknowledges that the Abenaki peoples are the traditional caretakers of these Vermont lands and waters, which they call Indakina, or homeland. We honor the long existence of Native communities and their continued relationship with this land. We recognize that our country was built on the labor of enslaved people and the historic and current systemic oppression and injustices experienced by Black Americans. We acknowledge the distinct history here of these interconnected people. We know that the impact of past harms are still seen and felt today, and that by first telling the truth, we can continue to seek and act for justice. Announcements, a couple of them. Since this is our first service of the month, we will not have time for all ages because there is family chapel this morning. And an announcement from your coffeehouse team. Join us this Friday, January 9th at the UU Coffee House and Open Mic in the parlors. Open mic sign-ups and dessert potluck start at 6:30, and then the open mic opens, it begins at 7. You can share a poem, share a song, share a story, or just listen and enjoy the company of old and new friends. All are welcome. Last, I want to thank the good people whose behind-the-scenes work put this service together. Just as you are, whatever it took for you to be here this morning, with the joys, sorrows, and gratitudes you are carrying, you are welcome.
Good morning, I'm Lance Smith, he, him pronouns, and we're going to learn a song today together through the call and response way of learning. So call and response singing came to us via the African diaspora. So it is a sacred way of singing and learning music that members of our community and members of our country who were not citizens at the time and were experiencing white supremacy, this is how they shared their music, their spirituality with their children and with their community. So it is indeed a very sacred way of learning music, and it's a little bit outside of the norm of the UU tradition, which is a good thing. We get to be a little multicultural today. So Sam, forgive me, could you give me a G major chord? And here's how we'll do this. It's a simple song. Perfect. Thanks, Sam. I'll sing it to you first, and then I'll teach it to you. And how I'll teach it to you is I'll sing a line, and you'll see my hands do this. And then it'll be, when my hands do this, it'll be your turn to repeat that line, okay? And we are a small but mighty group today, and we are going to join each other in song and reverberate this energy throughout our bodies as we sing together. So this song goes like this. I am of this earth, I am of this sky, and the seasons turn, and so do I. I was made to change, I was made to bend, I was made to break and to grow again. And that little stomp on that last line is important. I was made to break and to grow again. I'm going to switch to this hardwire mic over here, Joe, since we're kind of clipping out a little bit. Okay. Check, check. There we are. Okay. Oh, Zoe, that is music to my ears. Zoe said, can we stand up? Of course, I'm going to ask you to rise and bow to your spirit. And now we're going to learn this song. So I'll sing the first line, ask you to repeat after me, okay? I am of this earth, I am of this sky, you. I am of this earth, I am of this beautiful. And the seasons turn, and so do I, you. And the seasons turn, and so do I. Let's try that again. And the seasons turn, and so do I, you. And the seasons turn, and so do I. Now it's my turn. I am made to change. I am made to bend you. I am made to change. I am made to bend. I am made to break and to grow again. You. I am made to break and to grow again. Let's do that line again. I am made to break and to grow again. Let's do that one more time. Call and response, and then we'll sing together. Okay, here we go. I am of me. I am of this earth. I am of this sky. You. I am of this earth. I am of this. Sound beautiful. And the seasons turn, and so do I. And the seasons turn, and so do I. You're getting it. I am made to change. I am made to bend you. I am made to change. I am made to bend. I am made to break and to grow again. You. I am made to break and to grow again. All together, here we go. I am of this earth. All of us together. I am of this sky. And the seasons turn, and so do I. I am made to change. I am made to bend. I am made to break and to grow again. Let's sing it again. I am of this earth. I am of this sky. And the seasons turn, and so do I. I am made to change. I am made to bend. I am made to break and to grow again. Beautiful on part one. By the way, as we enter into 2026, we may be called on to break this year. If I'm not mistaken, every spiritual wisdom tradition does speak to breaking and then growing again. So when we get to that line, I am made to break and to grow again, I invite you to notice what's happening in your heart space and see if you can really own that phrase of the song, because if some of us in this room do break this year, to be reminded of the promise that we can grow again. So that's part one. Here's part two. Part two goes like this. I am of this earth. I am of this sky. I am of this turning, turning, turning. I am made to change. I am made to bend. I am made to grow again. That's how part two goes. And Zoe, when we put it all together, it'll be worth it. I promise you. I promise you. So part two, I'll teach it to you. Again, I'll sing and then you sing, line after line. I am made to change. Oh, I'm sorry. I am of this earth. I am of this sky. You. I am of this earth. I am of this sky. Me. I am of this turning, turning, turning. You. I am of this turning, turning, turning. Me. I am made to change. I am made to bend. You. I am made to change. I am made to bend. Me. I am made to grow again. You. I am made to grow again. One more time this way. I am of this earth. Me. I am of the sky. You. I am of this earth. I am of the sky. Me. I am of this turning, turning, turning. You. I am of this turning, turning, turning. Me. I am made to change, still me. I am made to bend. You. I am made to change.
I am made to bend me. I am made to grow again. You. I am made to grow again. All of part two, all together. Here we go. 2, 3, and 1. I am of this earth. I am of this sky. I am of this turning, turning, turning. I am made to change. I am made to bend. I am made to grow again. One more time, part two. I am of this earth. I am of the sky. I am of this turning, turning, turning. I am made to change. I am made to bend. I am made to go again. Back to part one, Adele. I am of this earth. Sing with me. I am of this sky, and the seasons turn. You got it now. And so do I. I am made to change. I am made to bend. I am made to break and to. Let's go again. Part one, listen, clap. I am of this earth. I am of this sky, and the seasons turn. And so do I. I am made to change. I am made to bend. I am made to break and to grow. Part two. Here we go. I am of this earth. I am of this sky. I am of this turning, turning, turning. I am made to break change. I am made to bend. I am made to grow again. Well, we're about to wrap this up. Call and response takes a little longer than what we usually do at our left side. You're going to sing part one. I'll get you started. And then after the first time through, rights will, house, your left, my right, house left will then come in with part two, and I'll lead you into that, okay? All right, we got this. From the top. I am of this earth, I am of this sky, and the seasons turn, and so do I. I am made to change, I am made to bend, I am made to break and to stay in part one. Here we go. I am of this earth, I am of this sky, I am of this turning, turning, turning. I am made to break, I am made to bend, I am made to grow again. Everybody again, this part. This earth, I am made to change, I am made to turning. I am made to change. I am made to bend. I am made to grow again. Oh, you worked so hard on that. Give yourselves a hand. Lovely. Thank you for your patience with me. I'm sweating after that. Thank you for following me.
It's beautiful, Lance. Today's reading is a poem titled Safety Net by Rosemary Watola Trommer from her 2023 collection, All the Honey. And I looked her up online, and of note, she has a one-word mantra, adjust, and a three-word mantra, I'm still learning. Safety net. This morning, I woke thinking of all the people I love and all the people they love and how big the net of lovers. It felt so clear, all those invisible ties interwoven like silken threads, strong enough to make a mesh that for thousands of years has been woven and rewoven to catch us all. Sometimes we go on as if we forget about it, believing only in the fall. But the net is just as real, every day, with every small kindness, with every generous act, we strengthen it. Notice, even now, how as the whole world seems to be falling, it is there for us as we walk the day's tightrope, how every tie matters.
when you are a visiting celebrant, you can take a few liberties with the service. So I thought we'd use our pastoral prayer and stillness time this morning just to do a short body prayer together. And do it as you're comfortable and able. Some people are not overly comfortable with kind of a body prayer. So feel your edges, feel where you're at, and challenge yourself a little if you're holding back, I would say. The reason I wanted to bring a body prayer is because I feel as though it's a wonderful preparation for rooting ourselves more deeply and intentionally in the present moment. My experience in modern culture is that so many of us live in our heads, myself included. For me, that like mental headspace is comfortable space for me. It's well-worn territory where I work out all the details and problems of my life. Episcopal priest, writer, and mystic Cynthia Bourgeault would say that our three human intelligences, mind, heart, and body, of those three, the mind is running the show to the detriment of our overall wholeness. That we need to bring these three centers of intelligence back into relationship and balance so that our decisions, our actions, are coming from a place of integration and groundedness. Bourgeault also says we can experience the vast expanse of the divine in its myriad forms to the extent that we can open and experience sensation in the body. So our ability to perceive God or love or the movement of mystery, whatever that is for us, relies on our level of embodiment, our feeling into our own incarnation. Body prayers get us out of the head and engage the trunk and lower limbs and open up new pathways for experiencing the divine and interknowing. And we did a little bit of that in the last song with Lance, which was beautiful. So I would invite you again, if you'd like to stand or if you'd like to sit, you're more comfortable sitting, however you'd like to do it. I'm going to take you through a very short body prayer. And I would ask you just if you want to close your eyes or keep them open, however, but just keep feeling into the trunk of the body. See if you can move from the head deeper into the body, just to kind of feel into your feet and this moment, and to just kind of open the body up a little bit more. So I'll go through the gestures. The first gesture is a prayer position. It's called being. I am here, opening, yielding to what is. And then our next gesture is bowing. I am emptying myself, bowing to the whole of who I am. The third gesture is opening. I rise to the chalice of my life. I open my spiritual heart. The fourth gesture is receiving. With spaciousness born of emptying, I receive the divine love that is there and present for me. The fifth gesture is I'm called to share that bounty with others. And then grounding. I ground this presence in my being and in the earth. I am awake, connected, and home. So I will speak the words to the movement, and let's just go through the movement 4 times, slowly, and see if you can just kind of feel deeply into it as you go, into your embodied presence. Being. I am here, opening, yielding to what is. I am standing in unexplainable wholeness and holiness. Bowing. I bow to the whole of which I am an integral part. I acknowledge that I am standing in the mystery of what is here. I bow as a gesture of emptying. Opening. I rise, opening to the chalice of my life. I open my spiritual heart to receive divine energy and assistance. Receiving. With the space born of emptying, I gather up and receive the divine love that is present, sensing it in my body, savoring it, tasting it. Sharing. I am called to share this divine bounty with others. I scatter the seeds of this mysterious love without concern for how it is spread and multiplied. And grounding. I ground this presence in my being and in the earth. I am awake. I am connected. I am home. Being. I am here opening. Bowing. I bow to the whole of which I am an integral part. Opening. I open to the chalice of my life. Receiving. I gather up and receive the divine love that is present. Sharing. I share this bounty with you and with others without concern for results. Grounding. I ground this presence in my embodied being and the earth. I am awake. I am connected. I am home. Being. Bowing. Opening. Receiving. Sharing. Grounding.
Now we continue our spiritual practices with the generosity practice, through which we share half of the collection plate with a community partner that is living out our shared values, while the other half goes to sustain this congregation. Offerings this month will be shared with Migrant Justice, which works to build the voice, capacity, and power of the migrant farm worker community, and to engage community partners to organize for social and economic justice and for human rights. To learn more, visit migrantjustice.net. Thank you for whatever generosity you can practice. You may place your offering in one of the baskets at the head of the outside aisles, or you may make your offering online during the stone ritual and the offertory. When the music begins, you're invited to come forward on one of the outer aisles to mark a joy, a sorrow, or a gratitude by placing a stone onto the table in front. And return to mark a joy, a sorrow, or a gratitude, and then return to your pew by the center aisle. Please join me in the words of our offering dedication. With gratitude, we dedicate these gifts in service of our mission to inspire spiritual growth, care for each other and our community, seek truth, and act for justice.
This first Sunday of 2026, the community is invited to stand together exactly where life has brought us, shaken, tired, and yet still called. As a people, we have just lived through a year where unprecedented felt almost ordinary. As authoritarianism grew, wars spread, the climate intensified, immigration policies violated basic human rights, and a post-truth culture frayed trust in our shared public life. Some of us responded by throwing ourselves harder into activism and news cycle vigilance. Moi. Others by pulling back into smaller, safer circles of family, inner life, and whatever practices we could muster to quiet our nervous systems. Many of us did both, swinging between burnt-out urgency and self-protective retreat. What this sermon wants to explore is another way. Wayne Teasdale, an American Catholic lay monk, mystic, and interspiritual teacher who passed in 2004, insisted that spiritual practice is to the mystical life what food and water are to the body. Teasdale believed that without some disciplined contemplative grounding or daily spiritual practice, we cannot sustain the human journey or our service in the world over the long term, at least in any inspired way. Mature spirituality in his vision is not an escape from history, but a standing in the very heart of it with a consciousness capable of compassion, courage, and wisdom. The question for us at the threshold of this year is not whether we will be a spiritual or humanistic people, but whether our spirituality or humanism will be deep and rooted enough to meet this moment. In a time when the safety net of democratic norms and public institutions is visibly failing, it is tempting to hook our hopes entirely to concrete outcomes. Hope rises when an election goes our way or a renewable energy policy is reinstated. It plummets with the next Supreme Court decision, ICE raid, or violent video at the top of our social media feeds. Cynthia Bourgeault, an Episcopal priest and contemplative who I referenced earlier, names a different dimension she calls mystical hope, a hope not tied to a particular result, but rooted in something deeper than your situation, an indwelling presence that lives its own steady life beneath the surface of conditions. She describes it as resting in a field of divine mercy, a fierce, bonding love that is already holding us and the world, whether circumstances look promising or not. This mystical hope is not a mood we manufacture by positive thinking. It is an abiding state we grow into through repeated yielding of our attention and consent to that deeper ground. When we practice contemplative stillness, whether through silent prayer, meditation, mindful breathing, chant, forest bathing, or simple awareness, we are not escaping the world, but dropping into an inner wellspring that can nourish our outer engagement. Without this rooting, Bourgeault says, our activism easily becomes brittle, fueled by outrage and fear. With this rooting, our courage can be fierce, but not frantic. Our grief can be great, but not annihilating. Brother Wayne Teasdale tried to describe how this inner rooting grows into a whole way of life. Teasdale identified 9 elements of a mature, universal spirituality. These elements are not steps on a ladder, but facets of one movement of love, rooted in silence and reaching into public life. Several of them speak directly to the tension between stillness and action. The first element is actualized moral capacity, being ethical by second nature, so that justice is not something we periodically remember, but a reflex woven into our choices. In Unitarian Universalist language, it is moving from merely affirming principles on paper to embodying them in how we spend money, time, and attention. A second element is solidarity with the earth and all beings, a joyful sense of interdependence that experiences the suffering of other people, species, and ecosystems, not as distant issues, but as pain in our own larger body. This is a contemplative perception. The more deeply we rest in the one, the less convincing the illusion of separateness becomes. Teasdale also names deep nonviolence as essential, a nonviolence that runs through speech, thought, and institutional life, not just protests and policies. Genuine nonviolence, he argues, is not only a strategy, but the fruit of inner transformation, a rewiring of perception and desire, so that we no longer need enemies to know who we are. Closely linked is humility of heart, a clear honesty and refusal to manipulate others, born of ongoing self-knowledge and prayer. Humility in this sense aligns well with UU practices of shared leadership and listening across difference, because it loosens the ego's insistence on being right or better than. Several of Teasdale's elements focus directly on inner practice. Spiritual practice, he says, is the cutting edge of inner realization. Without a committed discipline, the rest of our aspirations remain fragile. The form can vary, but the regular return to practice is what slowly shifts our center of gravity from reactivity to presence. Mature self-knowledge grows alongside practice, an honest awareness of our motives, wounds, projections, and shadow patterns that might otherwise sabotage our activism or relationships. In Teasdale's view, inner work is not a distraction from justice, it is part of it, so that we do not unconsciously reproduce domination in our organizing or caregiving. Then there is simplicity of life, a decluttering of possessions, schedules, and consumption, so love can flow more freely through our days. Easier said than done, I know. Simplicity frees attention and energy for service and deeper community. Finally, Teasdale speaks of love in action and prophetic voice or witness, the willingness to stick one's neck out for justice, to risk comfort or reputation in solidarity with the vulnerable. In his view, spirituality that does not engage suffering in concrete ways is, quote, poor indeed, while engaged spirituality can transform individuals, communities, and systems. My own spiritual practice, my own daily spiritual practice, developed during a breast cancer crisis 5.5 years ago. I was serving in the Vermont legislature on the House Human Services Committee. Our beautiful chair of that committee is here today. The Committee of Jurisdiction for the public health crisis of COVID. Needless to say, our days were like living at the end of a fire hose. In my treatment, I reconnected with the practice of centering prayer, a method of Christian meditation, resting in the silence, learning to unhook from the monkey mind, and opening to deeper levels of sensation in the body created some profound changes in my nervous system. Over time, the practice helped me regulate emotionally, find deeper clarity within, tolerate more difference in my conversations with people on the opposite side of my perspective, and grow more self-compassion. This 20-minute contemplative practice became a mainstay of my days, a non-negotiable, an orientation point for everything else. The right next steps in my social justice and activism work began to flow from this deep grounding through meditation. Centering prayer helped me to know what was mine to do and what was not mine to do. Thankfully, I am free of cancer and in good health at this time. Poet Rosemary Watola Trummer offers an image that beautifully holds this contemplative, activist balance. In Safety Net, she imagines waking up, thinking of all the people she loves and all the people they love, and suddenly seeing the vast, invisible mesh of affection and care connecting us. She writes of those silken threads, strong enough to make a mesh that for thousands of years has been woven and rewoven to catch us all. And she reminds us that although we act as if only the fall is real, the net is just as real and strengthened with every small kindness and every generous act. This poem can be heard as a description of both grace and responsibility. The safety net of love and solidarity does not erase suffering or prevent us from ever falling. Instead, it assures that no one falls alone and that our shared life keeps stretching to hold those on the margins. The mystical dimension is that this invisible net or web is not only human, it is woven through with the presence that Bourgeois calls mercy, and that Teasdale would recognize as the mystic heart within all traditions. Our contemplative practice helps us feel that net from the inside, within our bones. Our bold action is how we become visible strands in that net for others. So what might it look like in the year ahead to live from the contemplative center that Teasdale describes, while also showing up boldly in public life? Mature spirituality holds both contemplation and action in a tender dance. It lets the heart be broken open in stillness or prayer, and then brings that tenderness to the streets, the school boards, the homeless shelters, the organizing meetings. For Teasdale, the 9 elements are one way of naming this integration. Actualized moral capacity and prophetic voice show up in how we vote, organize, and stand up with our bodies. Solidarity with all beings and simple living shape our economic and ecological choices, from energy usage to what we buy, consume, and discard. Deep nonviolence and humility of heart reshape our speech on social media, our participation in congregational conflict, our listening across political divides. Spiritual practice and mature self-knowledge make it possible to experience strong emotions, anger, grief, fear, without becoming them, so that our resistance can be fierce, but not fueled by hatred. Wayne Teasdale coined the term interspirituality. By it, he meant the shared wisdom at the heart of the world's spiritual and religious traditions. He did not envision a bland homogenization, but a deep mutual enrichment in which each path contributes its disciplines of compassion, contemplation, and justice. And practitioners are free to draw from multiple wells of religious and spiritual wisdom. Unitarian Universalism is uniquely positioned to live out this interspiritual vision, weaving practices from varied traditions into a coherent ethical life. In a UU setting, this might mean finding stillness through Tibetan Buddhist meditation, or observing Shabbat weekly, or by chanting kirtan, or the Christian Psalms, or through body-based practices like the one we did together this morning, or by communing with the trees in your neighborhood. The test of these embodied spiritual practices is whether they grow Teasdale's elements in us: more clarity, integrity, more solidarity, more simplicity, more love in action, more courage to speak truth with compassion. As this new year begins, the invitation is not to do everything, but to make a clear, realistic, spirit-led shift in how we live. One simple approach, echoing Teasdale's elements, could be this: choose one contemplative commitment, one act of solidarity, and one step of simplification. A contemplative commitment might be 10 minutes of silence each morning, a weekly nature walk in attentive presence, or a regular meta-loving kindness practice for oneself, one's enemies, and the wider world. An act of solidarity might be joining or deepening involvement with a justice team, accompanying an immigrant neighbor to a hearing, mentoring a vulnerable youth, or participating in mutual aid. A simple step of simplification could be shifting a consumption habit, reducing online shopping, calendaring more rest into a frenetic work week, or setting a technology boundary that frees up space for more relationship and service. The point is not to perfect ourselves, but to align little by little with the deeper current of mystical hope and mercy that is already flowing. As the poem Safety Net reminds us, every tie matters, Every small kindness and generous act strengthens the mesh that can catch us and others when we fall. From stillness to bold action, from contemplative rooting to prophetic witness, may this community in 2026 grow into the mature spirituality our troubled times are asking of us, are requiring of us. May it be so.
And thank you, Reverend Redmond. We're going to sing hymn number 396. And because it's me, we're going to vary it up a little bit. So it's a very simple hymn. It goes like this. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know. And that's the new part, the I know at the end. I know. So if you're a baritone or tenor, would you raise your hand if you know that? Great. So you all are going to sing with me on the first I know at the end of the chorus. And if you're an alto singing the alto range, will you raise your hand? Great, altos. You're going to sing on the second I know at the end of the chorus. And if you're the soprano, will you raise your hand? Yeah, those angelic voices in the room. You're going to sing on the third I know at the end of the chorus. And the I knows will go like this. I know, like that. So tenors and baritones. I know, altos. I know, and sopranos. I know, just like that. All right, let's try that from the top. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know. Good job. And basses and tenors, you can just hold out that I know, okay? From the top again. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. And we're going to sing that through twice. So we'll go, I know, and then again, I know. You got it. We're going to sing it all the way through. I know this rose will. You're welcome to stand and body your spirit. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know. From the top. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know. Yeah. A little more energy. Here we go. I know this rose will. more time. I know. Oh, one more time. I know. Thank you. Blessings. Blessings.
We call upon the mystic heart embedded within each one here and enveloping all of creation. Bless us as we go forth from this gathering into worlds of disorientation and chaos, connection and peace. May the practices we choose, our moments of silence, our walks in nature, our songs and prayers and mindful breaths, steady us in compassion, deepen our courage, and grow in us a moral reflex for justice, nonviolence, and joyful solidarity with the earth and all beings. As we step into the days ahead, may each of us claim one contemplative commitment, one act of solidarity, and one step towards simplicity, trusting that every tie matters. May we become living strands in the vast web of mercy, our lives a quiet yet bold witness to the love that holds all things. And so it is. Amen. Please join us in the words as we extinguish our chalice. I think I gave the benediction a little early. So go in peace. Thank you all for welcoming me so wonderfully.